This training video is brought to you by K Alliance. K Alliance is the 21st century's educational corporation, specializing in the most comprehensive enterprise training solutions, ranging from e-learning to instructor-led training. Press play for success. After watching this video, be sure to become a Facebook fan to receive the latest updates, promotions, and course releases. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to preview the latest desktop, soft skills, and IT training videos.
Implementing IPsec on the internal network involves creating connection security rules. These connection security rules are integrated into the Windows firewall with Advanced Security Snap-in. So in this demonstration, we just want to walk through the process of configuring and enabling IPsec. So we need to hit our Start button here and go into Administrative Tools. Inside Administrative Tools, you've got Windows Firewall with Advanced Security. It's a pre-configured MMC Snap-in. You can get there from Control Panel as well. Now on the primary page here, you've got just the determination as to which profile is active. If you're in the domain, it's going to be domain. Otherwise, it's whatever type of network you chose when you connected to it. Then we have connection security rules here. When we click on this, all it's going to do is take me down to that area. So let's actually go back up to the firewall, because certain IPsec properties are configurable right here. When you click on Windows Firewall Properties, we've got the properties for each individual profile, and then you've got IPsec settings. These are going to be the defaults, tunnel authorization, exemptions. So we'll come back here, but I just wanted to mention that that is there. In order to actually implement IPsec, it involves creating connection security rules. Let's go to inbound rules, for instance. You've got some utility or some rules here. For instance, let's go down to the remote desktop. Okay, remote desktop is allowed. That's turned on and it's allowed. If we go to the properties of the rule, it's enabled and it's allowing the connection. Instead of just allowing the connection, I can say I only want to allow the connection if it's secure. Then you hit Customize, and then we can choose whether or not it's going to be secure. So I'm saying only allow it if it's authenticated and integrity protected, okay, or just required to be encrypted, those kinds of things. So I'm going to say, all right, we're only going to allow it if it's secure, and hit OK. Now, how do I ensure that it's secure? It changes to a lock there. Well, I ensure that it's secure by creating connection security rules. A connection security rule. So we'll right-click, go New Rule. And we're going to get the types that we talked about. Okay, so isolation, again, based on domain membership or health status. Authentication exemption is actually if you want to turn it off. Server to server. So we're going to choose server to server type. Okay. The endpoint, computer number 1, is this IP address, and it's my personal address, 192.168.1.50. You can do a range. You can also do a predefined set of computers. Okay, but I'm going to say this is one side of it, and the other, endpoint number 2, and we're going to use the local subnet. So anybody on the local subnet coming to my address. And what are the requirements? Well, we are going to require authentication for inbound connections, and we're going to request it for outbound, because I'm really just concerned with the RDP connections coming to me. Hit Next. How are we going to authenticate? Computer certificate is the default. If we have a CA, we can choose the signing algorithm. We can choose the store type, the CA name, whether we're doing health certificates. We're going to choose advanced and hit Customize. This allows us to choose a first and second authentication method. Okay, I'm going to say that the first is Kerberos V5, and then we're just going to leave it at that. All right, just one. We're going to use Kerberos computer authentication. Hit Next. We're going to say this only applies to the domain profile. Secure RDP traffic, local subnet. And that could be in the description as well. Now, the question is, did I actually say that it was only RDP traffic? Where did I have the ability to say that? And I didn't. If we go to product properties, though, and protocols and ports, for some reason they didn't put this in the wizard. You still have the option. So by default, If you create a connection security rule, it's protecting everything. Well, I didn't want to do that. I only wanted it to protect a certain type of traffic. So I say TCP, and I'm going to use specific ports. 3389, specific ports on endpoint number 2, and in that way I can make sure that I'm only restricting or only protecting RDP traffic. Okay, we've got our authentications, our other methods. Notice here I even have different options. So if you're ever sure the wizard didn't ask me, just go to the properties of that object that was created. Okay, now we'll hit OK, and we're going to go back to the properties here. I'm going to go to the firewall properties and IPsec settings. Notice here is where I would have to go if I wanted to change key exchange, which is main mode, data protection quick mode, authentication methods. It is very unlikely that you would ever do this, because if we hit advanced and hit customize, then this is really the only place where we're able to see the integrity algorithm, which is the signing digital signatures. You can use SHA up to 384 bits. The encryption algorithm, the default is AES at 128, and the key exchange algorithm, Diffie-Hellman versus elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman. And so you can make those changes. It's just unlikely that you would ever do it. If you hit add, then you could add in additional options. And we can change key lifetimes and things, but again, that is unlikely. For data protection, we're going to get the same similar things. Here's the only time where we ever see the ESP and the EH, or AH, excuse me. When I add, I would have ESP, AH, or null encapsulation. You're always going to be using ESP. It is compatible with NAT, whereas AH is not. ESP does both encryption and integrity. AH only does integrity. So you can change the options. But it's unlikely that we're going to have to go in and modify. So most likely, I'm just creating connection security rules. Now, one other thing, and that's you may want to exempt ICMP. The ping command uses ICMP from IPsec. That will help in troubleshooting, and so that's something that you potentially can think about. Okay? That's going to complete the demonstration. We took a look at creating a connection security rule to secure traffic that the firewall was already allowing in, and then to specifically choose that type of traffic in order to implement IPsec in transport mode on the internal network.